Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to Mainers yesterday and was also met with some protests in Bangor. We'll have the latest on his visit.
Plus, a former MDI high school student is now suing her former principal. We'll tell you why.
And gubernatorial candidate Troy Jackson and CD2 candidate Joe Baldacci held a press conference together yesterday. We'll have more on that ahead. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us and happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll have all the day's news coming up, but first to check that important forecast. We're finally getting to the weekend.
We are.
We've had a little bit of rain. It didn't turn out to be quite as wet as we expected. On again and off again rain.
Yeah.
But the weekend, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking pretty wonderful.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like summer.
Finally. Yeah.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that is up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf along the coast with an area of low pressure that is right nearby. As we do push forward, there is the rain right there, and yeah, we are seeing a little bit near the Bangor area, not so much farther off towards the north and east. The heaviest is farther off towards the south and west near that area of low pressure that is parked right now farther off towards the south and west. It will begin to track off a little bit to the east and rather fizzle out. As we do zoom things out, there's that area of low pressure right there. It is bringing beneficial rain to the southwestern parts of the state, but we do need to be careful though. This may be too much rain in a short amount of time. Futurecast showing that rainfall falling today. It will begin to taper off, and then later on tonight everything begins to go quiet with the clouds clearing up as well. So Futurecast moving forward. Again, we have the clouds coming up later on as the rain begins to taper off, and then later on tonight things go quiet too. There's the clouds right there and some rain showers. Temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. We will look forward to that. Well, Vice President J.D. Vance touched down in Bangor Thursday afternoon. J.D. Vance told listeners Maine is one of the worst states in the nation when it comes to fraud, and he also accused state lawmakers of ignoring that problem. Our Grace Blanchard was there and has the details.
Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance.
Vice President J.D. Vance welcomed by a large crowd in Bangor as he made a stop in the Queen City with the topic of fraud taking center stage.
What you have in Maine is a festering problem where people have been taken advantage of and they've been stolen from, and your government hasn't done anything about it.
The vice president has been assigned by President Trump to lead an anti-fraud task force, cracking down on states like Minnesota, California, and Maine.
If they're the gold medalist and the silver medalist, I heard somebody shout out New York. Maybe New York is the bronze medalist, but let me be honest, maybe Maine is the bronze medalist.
Vance pointed towards a federal audit released earlier this year that found Maine made at least $45 million in improper Medicaid payments. He also voiced support for former Governor Paul LePage, who said if elected to Congress, he would make addressing fraud a priority.
When the government wastes taxpayer money, it's working families like you who pay the price.
Vance shared that the administration has sent letters to all 50 states, warning that states could lose funding if they don't get serious about fighting fraud.
The reality is the federal government is going to act, even if our Democrat colleagues don't care, want to put their head in the sand on this issue, want to refuse to act. That's their choice, but it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen.
The threat to the Medicaid program is not us keeping fraudsters away from the Medicaid program. It's the fraudsters raiding that program to begin with. That's the threat to the Medicaid program.
The vice president says going after fraud is not a partisan or political issue. The administration is willing to work with any state official, Democratic or Republican, over the next 2 years to address what he described as a pressing issue. In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, across the street from Vance's event, a crowd of protesters gathered, voicing their opposition to the vice president and the Trump administration. As our Alex Schley tells us, despite some tense moments, the demonstration remained peaceful.
Protesters lined Main Avenue, waving signs, chanting, and making their frustration with the current administration clear. Many who attended say they felt compelled to show up and make their voices heard.
I can't just sit home on my couch and do nothing about it.
I am here today because I think it's really important to have a very visible, very audible, loud, active pushback against what the government is currently trying to do in just about every arena.
He's helping Trump, who is in the Epstein files more than Epstein himself.
Several candidates running for governor and Congress also made an appearance, standing in solidarity with the crowd and echoing many of the same concerns.
The people of Maine have had enough with what's going on with this administration. The economy's upside down. We're in an illegal war, and J.D. Vance coming here to sell what? To sell more of the same.
It's so important in this moment of crisis for our democracy, with this administration, which is the most corrupt in our history, that we come and demonstrate, stand in solidarity and have our voices heard against this, because it's wrong.
Rebecca Hartwell attended Thursday's event, calling herself a peacekeeper and working to de-escalate confrontation and ensure the demonstration remained peaceful.
We all have free speech, at least for the moment, ostensibly. So they have every right in the world to come over and ask whatever questions they want, but we also have the right to refuse to give them the rage-baiting content that they are here to get.
Democratic candidate for governor, Shenna Bellows, says the message from Thursday's crowd was unmistakable.
Hate has no home here.
In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Before Vice President Vance took to the podium, two Democrats, one a candidate for governor, the other for Congress, gathered with supporters to shine a light on reproductive rights and the accusations of the fraud against the state. Our Doug Banks has those details.
In response to Vice President J.D. Vance visiting Bangor on Thursday, Democratic candidates for public office spoke about abortion rights and the fraud accusations levied against the state of Maine. A U.S. court recently granted the state of Louisiana's request to temporarily suspend the abortion medication mifepristone from being sent to patients through the mail. The U.S. Supreme Court responded by reversing that decision.
You know, as governor, we need to take this on and tell them that this is the state of Maine, and we're going to do what we need to do to protect our health care.
The vice president's main talking point on Thursday was fraud. Back in January, a federal audit found that Maine made at least $45 million in improper fee-for-service Medicaid payments for rehabilitative and community support services provided to children diagnosed with autism.
Months ago, I broke with my party and called for an independent commission to audit the Maine Care program. I believe in accountability. I believe Mainers deserve to know where every tax dollar is being spent, and that isn't partisan, that's just good government. And I've been saying it long before J.D. Vance booked a flight to Bangor.
Other speakers included State Representative Amy Rader, Dr. Julia McDonald with the Mabel Wadsworth Center, and Bangor School Board member Mallory Cook. In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee spoke out on Vice President Vance's visit, saying it was a desperate attempt to distract from what they call the war Paul LePage and his allies are waging on Mainers' health care. They said, quote, if Vance wants to talk about scams, we should talk about Republicans' big ugly bill, which is already kicking tens of thousands of Mainers off Medicaid, putting rural hospitals across the district at risk of closure, and gutting Maine's health care system to fund massive tax breaks to billionaires.
Well, in other news this morning, one person has died following a terrible house fire in Aroostook County. According to the Department of Public Safety, crews were called to a scene of a structure fire around 5 o'clock on Thursday morning at 258 Carvel Road in Mapleton. The department says as firefighters fought the flames, responders located a deceased adult female victim inside the residence. The victim has not yet been positively identified. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Augusta will determine the identity of the victim as well as the manner and cause of death. The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating, and the house is a total loss. The department said no additional information is available at this time.
The Maine Drug Enforcement Agency arrested 5 people following the execution of a search warrant up in Caribou on Thursday, May 7th, after a month-long investigation into suspected drug trafficking at a home on Sweden Street in Caribou. Drug agents and the Maine State Police tactical team executed a search warrant there. They say they seized over 200 grams of fentanyl along with a sawed-off 20-gauge shotgun. The 5 people arrested are all facing charges of aggravated trafficking in Schedule W drugs. They include 49-year-old Ariel Rosado, 49-year-old Jose Rosado, 41-year-old Justin Murphy, and 33-year-old Andrea Trantham. Also, 26-year-old Tiana McLaughlin, all of Caribou. They were arrested. Ariel Rosado, Trantham, and Murphy are also facing probation violations.
Meanwhile, a Waterville man was sentenced in U.S. District Court in Bangor for attempting to send obscene materials to a minor. Court records show that 39-year-old Neil Wing was in communication with an undercover detective, posing as a 12-year-old girl on an online chat platform. Their conversations became sexual in nature, with Wing sending explicit materials to what he thought was a child. He was sentenced to 21 months in prison to be followed by 3 years of supervised release.
5 teenagers are facing charges following a string of vehicle break-ins in Madison. The Somerset County Sheriff's Office says it received several reports on Sunday about vehicles that had been broken into and 2 homes that had their windows broken. The investigation led police to 5 juveniles between the ages of 13 and 16 years old. All of them have been charged with burglary, theft, burglary to a motor vehicle, along with criminal mischief.
Well, a former Mount Desert Island High School student is suing her former principal. The suit accuses that principal Matthew Haney of failing to stop harassment in school from another student, as well as allowing a brutal assault later on that left her with a concussion and other injuries. The suit says that the conflict involved a female plaintiff and another student who was biologically male but identified as female. The suit alleges that the biological male student had been harassing the plaintiff in the fall of 2024. She reported that harassment to Principal Haney, but the suit alleges that nothing was done. Then one day on the way to school, when the male student got on the bus, he allegedly attacked the plaintiff's friend. When the plaintiff intervened, documents say he then assaulted the plaintiff. The driver separated them and then radioed the school and said increased staff and police presence would be needed upon their arrival. But according to the suit, when the bus arrived, only Principal Haney and the school nurse were present. The male student allegedly attacked the plaintiff again, smashing a steel water bottle into her head, forcing her to the ground, smashing her face into the pavement, and punching her. The suit claims that Haney did nothing to stop the assault, and when the bus driver tried to intervene, the suit says that Haney allegedly told him to, quote, let them fight it out. The plaintiff suffered a concussion, a bite to the face, and PTSD. She is suing for multiple levels of damage. The time now is 8:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Bangor Historical Society is ready to welcome folks back after a much-needed renovations.
We'll give you a look coming up, but first another look at that forecast. A mostly cloudy day ahead today with a chance of rain showers. Highs around 64 degrees. Things start clearing out tonight, a partly cloudy night ahead. Lows dropping down to the mid-40s, and then tomorrow is going to be great. You're going to be glad that you're alive.
Yes.
Everything good's
feel
going
like
to happen. Right. The highs tomorrow around 75 degrees. Don't forget your shades and your sunblock.
Yes.
Back with more right after this.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-in fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Meet the toughest team in the game, Bad Boy Mowers and Bad Boy Tractors. These powerhouses will do whatever it takes to win, putting in the work with unrivaled engineering, game-changing features like heated seats and an Alpine entertainment system, plus durable implements and style that's in a league of its own. Bad Boy Mowers and Tractors. Power, performance, attitude.
This Nissan lineup goes where you take it. Vehicles built with oomph, torque, traction, and yeah, full control. That's the power of a Nissan. Now's the time to drive. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on select model trims or get up to $4,750 total savings on Frontier.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. Wait,
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. This is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Residents of Newport had a bit of an unwelcome surprise Thursday morning. A major water main break happened on Center Street. Some local businesses were affected. It also closed schools, and some residents also impacted by the lack of water. Kind of hard to start your day without water. Crews were out working hard all morning long to get it repaired, and officials say everything should be back to normal now.
A beloved Bangor historic building has gotten a major facelift. The Thomas A. Hill House is home to the Bangor Historical Society, and our Callie Warren tells us about those exciting new changes.
A facelift, a foundation lift.
Bangor's Thomas A. Hill House is part of the Queen City's living history.
I mean, the bones of the house dates to 1835.
And after years of planning and months of work, it's gotten a little freshening up.
It was holding up pretty well from 1835, but it was time for a much needed overhaul.
The Historical Society headquarters unveiled their new portico Thursday, welcoming people in as they prep for a busy summer season.
And now we're continuing the checklist of getting everything painted back again, and our grass getting repaired to celebrate the 250th of the country this summer.
To prepare for America's Big Birthday Bash, they also have a host of historic artifacts awaiting visitors inside the house.
We've done some painting, a little bit of painting, touch up here and there for this year's exhibit and the anniversary. We have artifacts from the actual war, which will be on display.
After the resurfacing, the Historical Society is ready to welcome the local community for a semi-quincentennial celebration.
Bangor Historical Society is such an important part of our community and such a community asset. This house is such an important community asset. It really makes a statement about how we care for our community now that it's all in better repair.
In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
It really is an amazing place. If you get a chance, stop by sometime.
Just in time for the summer season, too.
Right.
Well, the time now is 8:18. After the break, President Trump and President Xi met for the second day and final day of the summit. More on that ahead.
Plus, the second annual Eliana's Hope for Healing Memorial Walk is this month. We'll have more on how you can support that wonderful cause as Good Morning Maine continues.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
You're getting ripped off. Criminals overbill Maine Care. They even charge for fake services, and Janet Mills let it happen. I'm Jonathan Bush. I've built systems that stopped fraud and abuse and saved customers millions. As governor, I'll audit every program and reduce that waste and fraud. Politicians and lobbyists don't have what it takes to clean up this corruption, but I do. I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
Everyone deserves to be connected. Big cities, small towns, everywhere in between. And staying connected shouldn't break the bank. That's why T-Mobile and US Cellular have joined forces. And now that we've combined networks, T-Mobile covers more places than ever before. America's best network just got bigger. Join now and your plan price is guaranteed for 5 years. T-Mobile and US Cellular, better together.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Searsport, is brought to you by the town of Searsport. Come explore the Maine coast. Find treasures on our beaches, local shops, art galleries, and the Penobscot Marine Museum. Pumpkin Patch Antiques, celebrating 51 years, selling 18th century and 19th century furniture, art, nautical pieces, and goodwill. Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 30 locations. Owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
In April of last year, local baby Eliana Rose Campbell passed away at 10 months old from junctional epidermolysis bullosa, a rare genetic skin disease with no known cure. It's commonly referred to as butterfly disease due to blisters that form from the slightest touch. It's also called the worst disease you've never heard of, as it only affects roughly 500,000 people worldwide. But her story of resilience sparked a community to join arms in raising awareness to hopefully find a cure. It also started a memorial walk that will be held later this month. The second annual Eliana's Hope for Healing Memorial Walk will start at 10 a.m. on the Bangor waterfront on Saturday, May 30th. The walk will go across the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge onto the Brewer River Walk, leading to the pink butterfly bench dedicated to Eliana Rose. According to the Campbell family, funds from this year's walk will go toward finding a cure.
We hope that people remember Ellie. I know that her story made a really big impact on the world, and I just don't want people to forget.
And to just get more people to know about the disease and learn Ellie's story.
Not every case of EB is terminal, but every case is a lot of pain. And the more money we can raise towards research, the more we can get closer to a life without pain.
The memorial walk is being organized by a group called Eliana's Army. Last year's walk garnered around $30,000 for EB research. To sign up, you can visit this story on our website at foxbangor.com.
Boy, she was such a beautiful little girl. I remember when
Yeah.
they did the original story, and you know, hopefully some good will come out of it all.
Yeah, let's hope they get a good turnout for their walk. Well, now here's our full weather forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf currently taking place along the coast. And meanwhile, wave heights are active at around 5 feet according to the buoys. This is right near that area of low pressure that is parked right nearby, bringing some rain into the southwestern parts of the state. It's even worse farther out towards sea, where we are at around 7 to even 16 feet, according to the buoys farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, here's a look at the rainfall that is along the southwestern parts of the state. It is barely clipping Bangor as well. Further off towards the north and east, not much rainfall taking place. This is the area that needs a lot of rain right now, too, so we'll have to see what next week's drought monitor looks like with regards to the rainfall that we are seeing now. Meanwhile, again, with that area low pressure, that will begin to move away and fizzle out as it does too. So again, we will see some improvement as this does move away. So here's Futurecast. Again, we are going to see this fizzle out and move away, and the clouds are going away too with this moving out. So again, we will become partly cloudy to even mostly clear later on, and a lot of sunshine on the way as we head towards your Saturday. Some more clouds on the way Saturday evening, some rain to the north. So again, we'll look okay as we head towards your Sunday. So I'm going to run this rainfall through. This is additional rainfall on top of what's already fallen. Not much additional rainfall between now and as we head towards Sunday morning. So most of this is just about done. So your forecast coming up for today, mostly cloudy rain showers with highs in the mid 60s. and that north wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, we have mid-40s, partly cloudy, and that west breeze backing off to about 5 miles per hour. And then tomorrow, look at this, mostly sunny and breezy. You might notice a few clouds, highs in the mid-70s, and that west wind picking up to about 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Here we are, partly cloudy with highs in the upper 70s, and then low 70s coming up for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky. And then here we are, showers and thunderstorms back in the forecast Tuesday. Look at temperatures, low 80s on the way.
Serving is more than a tradition. It's a call, and you've answered it. It's your legacy, and it deserves to be recognized. That's why we're proud to extend exclusive offers to military personnel active or retired. You move this country forward, and we're riding with you.
Get this low-mileage lease on this 2026 Chevrolet Equinox for around $299 per month. Plus, eligible military personnel can get $1,000 bonus cash on most Chevy models.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Is your foundation shifting, settling, or cracking? Don't wait till it's too late. We offer the most reliable solutions to lift and stabilize your sinking foundation. With our advanced piering techniques, we'll ensure your home is back on solid ground. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
You had me a trash panda. That was gangster. It pays to choose wisely.
Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Final day of President Trump's summit in China. Trump toured the grounds of President Xi's official residence this morning. He says the U.S. and China felt very similar about Iran when it comes to ending the war and keeping them from getting a nuclear weapon. ABC's Lionel Moyes has more on the presidential trip.
President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping meeting for the second and final day of their historic summit. Trump suggesting they're on the same page about the war in Iran.
We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end. And we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We want the straits open. We're closing it now. They closed it, then we closed it on top of them. But we want the straits open, and we want them to get it ended because it's a crazy thing. They're a little bit crazy, and it's no good. Can't have it. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Earlier, sitting down with Fox News.
China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement.
Trump saying China wants to continue to buy oil from Iran. The leaders also discussing trade, with Xi agreeing to buy hundreds of American-made planes.
He's going to order 200 jets. That's a big thing, Boeing's.
Boeing.
200 big ones.
The president says China will also buy American oil and soybeans, which China stopped buying last year during a trade dispute. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says China also agreed to work together on AI safety. Despite the administration touting the talks, critics are pointing out what they call a glaring omission in photos of yesterday's bilateral meeting. A Harvard economics professor saying a meeting of the two largest economies and not one woman at the table. We have somehow gravitated back to this idea that what matters is your network and not your capabilities. A handful of women did join President Trump for his Beijing visit, including his daughter-in-law, Lara. As for whether China pressures its ally Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, many observers say China is in no rush to get involved. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
Cuba says it will accept $100 million in U.S. humanitarian aid after the island country suffered an energy grid failure. The State Department confirmed on Thursday that the assistance will be distributed by the Catholic Church and other humanitarian organizations. Funds will be used for fuel, food, and medicine. Cuba is suffering from a severe energy shortage because of its outdated and crumbling power grid, along with a months-long energy blockade from the U.S. President Trump has warned any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba would be hit with heavy tariffs. The island's last oil delivery was made by a Russian vessel in late March and has since run out.
Protesters gathered outside the federal courthouse in downtown Oakland as closing arguments wrapped up in the high-profile legal battle between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. The demonstration, organized by labor, climate, and technology advocacy groups, focused on concerns about the rapid expansion of artificial intelligence and its effects on the environment and the workforce. Speakers accused OpenAI of prioritizing profits over public accountability, pointing to the company's growing energy demands, the spread of AI tools in healthcare and other industries, and fears of job displacement. Organizers said the technology's growing need for data centers and computing power could worsen pollution and increase strain on our energy systems. The event took place outside the courthouse while testimony in the Musk versus OpenAI case concluded inside. Jury deliberations in the trial are expected to begin on Monday.
Now to a series of wild police chases all caught on camera. In one case, an officer is pointing his gun when a child gets out of the back seat of an overturned car. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
This morning, the stunning end to a police chase in Arkansas. Troopers say they were trying to pull over a car going 80 miles an hour in a 55 zone. The trooper nudging the back of the car, the driver flipping over. Moments later, with the trooper's gun pointed at the car, this happens.
Get out of the car with your hands up! Put your hands up! Got a toddler walking out of the back.
The trooper picking up and comforting the 3-year-old before taking his mom into custody.
That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Could have killed your own child.
In Wisconsin, deputies in Fond du Lac County releasing this video of a car going airborne during a high-speed chase. They say the driver with a felony warrant had fled a traffic stop. Police chases have been under scrutiny in recent years for the danger they can pose to both suspects and bystanders. The San Francisco Chronicle reported between 2017 and 2022, more than 3,300 people in the U.S. were killed during police pursuits. More than 550 of them were bystanders. And investigators found most chases stemmed from traffic violations and other nonviolent crimes. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
They drive just like you.
He did it again. He did it again. I don't drive like that,
No,
I can assure you. Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a new study is shedding light on how a majority of dogs experience anxiety and fear and how we can actually help.
We'll have the story coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Friday, May 15th, 2026, and this is also NASCAR Day.
This holiday has got us on the edge of our seats with anticipation. NASCAR got its start when its first race in Daytona Beach back in 1948 and is now followed by millions of people. Each year, NASCAR sanctions over 1,500 races on over 100 tracks across the U.S. The NASCAR Foundation started NASCAR Day as a way to raise funds and awareness for the betterment of children's lives around the globe.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch, too.
Yeah, NASCAR's got a huge following here in Maine, too.
Yes.
And, my brother is one of them that's getting caught on. He'll go out there and disappear for a while.
Oh, it's awesome.
Watch the races.
Yes.
All right, it's time for some history. It was on this date back in 1800 that President John Adams ordered government offices be moved from Philadelphia to the newly constructed city of Washington, D.C. In 1928, the Walt Disney character Mickey Mouse appeared for the first time before a public audience in a test screening. It was a silent film called Plane Crazy. Mickey made his formal screen debut with the release of Steamboat Willie 6 months later. I believe that one had sound with it too.
We did a little research on that too.
Yeah.
I think that's Minnie because you
I think
said
you're
that
right.
Minnie was in Steamboat.
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been like the early version of Minnie right before that.
How
so
cool.
Yeah, but she's been with him from the
whole
beginning.
time.
But I read they've been together for like 113 years now.
It's a long
So
time.
crazy. And in 1940 on this date, brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald opened up the very first McDonald's restaurant in San Bernardino, California. They had no idea it would turn into what it is now.
Huge franchise.
Yeah.
In 1962, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that juveniles accused of crimes were entitled to the same due process afforded to adults. In 1972, Alabama Governor George C. Wallace was shot and paralyzed while campaigning for president in Maryland. And in 1990, the Portrait of Dr. Gachet by Vincent van Gogh sold for $82.5 million in just 3 minutes. It's one of the most revered paintings by the Dutch artist and depicts a doctor Van Gogh lived with while spending time in an asylum during the final months of his life. It became the most expensive painting ever sold at auction.
Just incredible.
It
you know,
is.
Vincent van Gogh is one of those, you never knew how famous he would become over
Right.
the years
Yeah.
after that. But yeah, just
That's a lot of money.
incredible. It is a lot of money.
And one more for you. In 2015, a jury sentenced a man to death for the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing that killed 3 and left more than 260 people wounded.
All right, for birthdays today, they include Baseball Hall of Famer George Brett, who is 73 today. There's a picture of him from back when he was playing ball. Actor David Krumholtz is 48, and actress Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos, well, she's turning 45 years old today. Happy birthday to them and to you also, if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that is up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf along the coast with an area of low pressure that is right nearby. As we do push forward, there is the rain right there, and yeah, we are seeing a little bit near the Bangor area, not so much farther off towards the north and east. The heaviest is farther off towards the south and west near that area of low pressure that is parked right now farther off towards the south and west. It will begin to track off a little bit to the east and rather fizzle out. As we do zoom things out, there's that area low pressure right there. It is bringing beneficial rain to the southwestern parts of the state, but we do need to be careful though. This may be too much rain in a short amount of time. Futurecast showing that rainfall falling today. It will begin to taper off, and then later on tonight everything begins to go quiet with the clouds clearing up as well. So Futurecast moving forward. Again, we have the clouds coming up later on as the rain begins to taper off, and then later on tonight things go quiet too. There's the clouds right there and some rain showers. Temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. Now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood.
Here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
The search for the next James Bond is underway. Amazon MGM Studios has announced the casting process for a new 007 on social media. While they say they don't plan on commenting on specific details during the casting process, they'll share more on who'll be the new British Secret Service agent as soon as the time is right. Scarlett Johansson and Sebastian Stan are joining the cast for The Batman Part 2. Director Matt Reeves teasing with pics of the stars on social media, welcoming them to Gotham. They'll join Robert Pattinson for the Batman sequel in theaters next year.
We got a letter from Mom. I thought she was dead. What she went with us now? Where she been at? She's on her deathbed.
The thriller Is God Is hitting theaters today. And in the film, Mallory Johnson and Kara Young star as twin sisters seeking revenge on their father. ABC Audio asked them how they created their on-screen bond.
We spent a lot of time together. We were living in the same hotel and we would meet each other all the time.
Talk about story.
Talk about story and
packing history.
And happy birthday to Chaz Palminteri. The actor turned 73 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Adon, ABC News.
Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
Don't go away.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Even if you have moderate to severe eczema, you can feel the rhythm, feel the flow. And Dupixent helps you feel the heal. It helps calm a key source of inflammation under the skin that can cause eczema. Some adults saw fast itch relief after the first dose and long-lasting clear skin at 1 year. Many even saw 90% clear skin. Severe allergic reactions, including skin reactions, can occur. Get help right away for face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, wheezing, or trouble breathing. Tell your doctor right away of new or worsening eye problems like eye pain or vision changes, skin symptoms, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop other treatments without talking to your doctor. Stay ahead of eczema and help heal your skin from within. Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent today.
Is that a compression nut?
Oh! Ah! Ow.
We got a duct taper.
It's a special Fox UFL Friday. The Orlando Storm face the Dallas Renegades live at Fort Hood. It all kicks off tonight at 8 Eastern.
Welcome back in, folks. Thursday night was a big milestone in the NFL offseason as the 2026-27 schedule was released. The Pats open up in Seattle on a Wednesday night to kick off the entire NFL season, where they'll look to get payback in the Super Bowl rematch. They return to New England in Week 2 for their home opener. They'll take on the Bears in Chicago on Thursday night in Week 7. In Week 9, they'll host the Packers in what will be Tom Brady's return to New England as a broadcaster as part of America's Game of the Week on Fox. The very next week, they'll travel to Germany to take on the Lions, followed by their bye week, and the schedule doesn't get much easier after that. Coming out of the bye week, it's the Chargers on Sunday night, the Bills at home, the Vikings on Thursday, and the Chiefs on a Monday night, and the Broncos in 2 divisional games to round out the regular season. Not quite sure we're looking at a 14-3 record there, everybody. We'll go to the softball diamond now and start at Husson, who hosted their Division III NCAA tournament regional round game against Endicott College on Thursday morning. Husson hosting for the 3rd time in 5 years. Eagles start strong with a clean 3 outs in the 1st inning. They put points on the board, though, when Lydia Rice hits one deep to send Morgan Tainter home. 1-0 Husson, but the goals respond swiftly in the 3rd. Ella Tower is going to hit one right on the line past the infield, and 2 runs make it in for the lead. Moments later, Elise Sasisio hits another deep one, and Maddie Bealey finds her way home for a 3-1 lead. In the 4th, Husson takes the lead back thanks in part from this hit from Tainer that allows Sophia Lynch and Cameron King to round the bases. Then in the 7th, Husson still leads 4-3. That's until Towers' big hit brings Bealey and Abby McFlynn in back. They take the lead again, and they hold that lead to upset Husson 7-4. Worth noting that the tournament is double elimination. Husson will take on Colby College. They lost against MIT on Thursday. They'll take on Colby College at 1:30 on Friday. Let's stick to local softball and check in with the Bucksport Golden Bucks, who are a season removed from a Class C state title and are showing no signs of regression this year. The Golden Bucks are off to another great start, tallying an impressive 9-1 record through 10 games thus far. Junior Marina Keene and senior Olivia Schutz say the play on the team has played a role in their success, but their mindset and close bond they hold has been just as important.
I think it's that we don't give up. We've had a lot of clutch innings where we score a lot of runs, even if it's been a tight game all game, so I think it's our determination.
I think that we've grown really close together. We have a group chat and we talk all the time. We have a lot of fun. We laugh. We don't argue. Like, there's no drama.
The Golden Bucks have only fallen in 1 game this season, and that was their very first game of the year against Washington Academy. They'll have a chance to avenge that loss on Friday when they travel to play the Raiders. The team says they'll need to bring their best to earn the outcome they desire.
We definitely have to come prepared, know what we have to do, and just work.
I think we need to jump on the ball quicker, just get our bats around a little faster, more energy. We don't have a problem with energy, but it'll help.
And I think we'll do good because our team's really come alive since the first game of the season, so I think we'll be on top of it this game.
Well, as we've been covering extensively, the Maine Mariners are in a heated playoff battle with the Wheeling Nailers. They made a statement on Wednesday night. The Mariners, who trailed the series 2-0 when they got back to Portland for Game 3 on Monday, have now defended home ice and won 3 straight games. They've stormed back to take a 3-2 series lead, and it goes back to Wheeling, and they say that was the plan all along.
Huge momentum swinging the series, and I mean, we said it on Sunday when we got back. We're going to take all 3 at home. That's what we did. Shows the character of the group, but yeah, like Lem said, job's not done yet.
The Mariners will try to close it out the North Division Finals, that is, in Game 6 on Friday down in West Virginia. Game 7 will be on Saturday if needed. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
I love to mow my lawn. It's not a job, it's a passion for me. I get out there, I enjoy the sun, I love how it cuts, and I sincerely love my John Deere tractor. I love the first cut in the spring, and I love the last cut in the fall. You know, every once in a while, of course, it needs a part or it needs something, and it's so nice knowing that United Ag and Turf is there, and whenever we need them, they're here. And it's always been a great experience.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth. Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Our message to the billionaire class is, your greed has got to end, and we are going to end it for you.
I agree with Bernie Sanders. That's why I co-chaired his campaign here in Maine. And that's why I'm running for Congress, to fight for a people's agenda. Tax billionaires, Medicare for all, living wages, affordable housing, universal child care. I'm Matt Dunlap, and I approve this message to ask for your vote.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad boy. Mo with an attitude.
Dog owners, listen up. If your pooch is anxious or fearful, you're not alone. New research analyzing the lives and behaviors of roughly 50,000 canines across the country reveals that more than half experience these feelings.
And while it can be caused by many factors, veterinarians say it's critical that excessive issues be treated before they can become too bad to handle. Fox News' Kevin Uretsky takes a look at how to avoid barking up the wrong tree.
Results of a new study are shedding light on how a majority of dogs experience anxiety and fear during most everyday situations. Dr. Bonnie Beaver of Texas A&M University analyzed data from the Dog Aging Project, a long-term national effort researching canines where owners complete surveys about their pets.
And it included some behavior questions. And they did include 9 that related to fear and anxiety.
Fear and anxiety were then split into 4 different categories.
One would be fear of strange people. One would be fear of unfamiliar dogs. Fear of unfamiliar situations like noise or objects on the sidewalk. And then the 4th category dealt with grooming like baths and nail trims.
Researchers called the fear of baths and nails a learned experience and said if that category wasn't considered,
it left about 84% of dogs that showed some level of fear or anxiety in the other 3 categories.
Dr. Beaver says these reactions are normal for animals in unfamiliar situations, citing which kinds of dogs might be more prone to these feelings.
We probably will see it to some extent more in dogs that live a relatively isolated life.
And just like the health of humans, early detection and treatment is usually the most helpful.
Long-term anxiety is affecting dogs. Those dogs, just as people, need medications to help reduce that anxiety.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Well, Dr. Beaver also recommends veterinarians provide owners with questionnaires at their pets' appointments, citing how this can prompt them to think about their pet's behavior so it can be addressed by a professional.
I think all good advice there.
Yeah.
Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf currently taking place along the coast. And meanwhile, wave heights are active at around 5 feet according to the buoys. This is right near that area of low pressure that is parked right nearby, bringing some rain into the southwestern parts of the state. It's even worse farther out towards sea, where we are at around 7 to even 16 feet, according to the buoys farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, here's a look at the rainfall that is along the southwestern parts of the state. It is barely clipping Bangor as well. Further off towards the north and east, not much rainfall taking place. This is the area that needs a lot of rain right now, too, so we'll have to see what next week's drought monitor looks like with regards to the rainfall that we are seeing now. Meanwhile, again, with that area low pressure, that will begin to move away and fizzle out as it does too. So again, we will see some improvement as this does move away. So here's Futurecast. Again, we are going to see this fizzle out and move away, and the clouds are going away too with this moving out. So again, we will become partly cloudy to even mostly clear later on, and a lot of sunshine on the way as we head towards your Saturday. Some more clouds on the way Saturday evening, some rain to the north. So again, we'll look okay as we head towards your Sunday. So I'm going to run this rainfall through. This is additional rainfall on top of what's already fallen. Not much additional rainfall between now and as we head towards Sunday morning. So most of this is just about done. So your forecast coming up for today, mostly cloudy rain showers with highs in the mid 60s. and that north wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, we have mid-40s, partly cloudy, and that west breeze backing off to about 5 miles per hour. And then tomorrow, look at this, mostly sunny and breezy. You might notice a few clouds, highs in the mid-70s, and that west wind picking up to about 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Here we are, partly cloudy with highs in the upper 70s, and then low 70s coming up for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky. And then here we are, showers and thunderstorms back in the forecast Tuesday. Look at temperatures, low 80s on the way.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
NASCAR Powerball. The chase to 1 million is on.
Finalists, are you ready?
Don't miss your chance to collect cash prizes on your way to an all-new destination where you could take home $1 million.
This is insane! The winner is contestant number 2! I can't believe it!
The official lottery game of NASCAR is back for the chase.
Purchase your main lottery Powerball tickets with Power Play and Double Play. Enter them into the Reward Me Club today.
Welcome to H&H Mercantile, your local destination for Maine made treasures. We offer a wide array of products from handmade arts and crafts to pet essentials, games, and local products, such as maple syrup and farm fresh eggs. Every visit supports Maine artisans and growers. Located at 31 East Main Street in Searsport, we are open 6 days a week. Come visit us today. It's more than a shopping trip. It's a celebration of our local community.
This election, we can't afford to make the wrong choice. There's only one candidate with a 100% pro-choice voting record who can defeat Paul LePage and stop Trump. Joe Baldacci. As Bangor mayor, Joe fought LePage, and in the state Senate, he protected Mainers from ICE. Now Joe's running to stop Trump's illegal wars and healthcare cuts and deliver affordable healthcare for all.
I've taken on Paul LePage before and won. Join me. I'm Joe Baldacci, and I approve this message.
An Olympic gold medalist inspires the creation of a doll. San Francisco-based doll maker Eleanor Mack made this custom doll of Olympic gold medal winning skater Alyssa Liu, who is from the Bay Area. Mack operates Jilly Bing, a company that makes dolls depicting Asian Americans. She started the company after not being able to find dolls that represented her daughter. As for the Alyssa Liu doll,
there's only 2 in the world. We gave one to our father, but we're really hoping to be able to give one to Alyssa. My little girl keeps asking, does Alyssa like our doll? The side angle for the doll.
For those hoping to get an Alyssa Liu doll, they're not for sale. As Max said, there are only 2 of them, and she's hoping to give the second one to Liu herself.
Those are pretty neat.
Yeah,
Boy, they
really
ought to
cool.
put them in production. I bet they'd make a ton of money.
I guess you know you've made it when you get a doll made
Right?
out
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the Craig Coulson action figure.
That would be
You
that'd
know,
be cool.
So keep waiting, Craig. Oh, we got more to
we
read
have another
here.
story.
I thought we were all done. I'll read this one. The pitch for the World Cup is growing and almost ready for the World Cup at Jerry's World, thanks to some innovative technology. Officials gave a glimpse Wednesday to the newly installed soccer pitch inside Dallas Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The pitch is still finishing its growing cycle thanks to the help of LED grow lights. The lights were installed and hung inside the stadium because of the absence of adequate sunlight. And the field itself is actually 2 feet above the field level where the Dallas Cowboys would normally be playing their games. Stadium maintenance personnel had to make indoor changes to accommodate the necessary FIFA soccer dimensions, especially for corner kicks, but they're not worried and say any challenges will be handled by playing time, which is now a month away.
Above as well, you can see the grow lights here. An impressive piece of technology and great innovation from the stadium to actually hang these. It is a first for the world to hang these grow lights. and they're all LED grow lights, providing basically the kind of the heartbeat to the pitch to allow it to grow, given the absence of sun that we have in here.
For the World Cup, the normally named AT&T Stadium is being renamed the Dallas Stadium, and it's set to host 9 World Cup matches, more than any other venue in that tournament, including the semifinal as well.
That's kind of a neat concept.
Looking nice, yeah.
I'll still be waiting on the Craig Coulson action figure.
Keep on waiting. Yeah. Coming to a store near you.
Yes. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us.
Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, it's a Parent Trap reunion today on the show. But don't worry, that's not Lindsay Lohan.